All right, good day. Today I'd like to share with you my experiences of our unique city of Pretoria. Our city of Pretoria is beautiful in its everyday context and vibrant quotidian activity. It's like one giant spectacle. And to me, this is what makes it special. If we take a closer look, we find these everyday activities occurring within the street interface, which is seemingly becoming a mutated form of African public space. Here, we can see a variety of activities that occur within the street interface, from anything like a street vendor to someone washing their clothes or even someone having a cooked meal. The sad reality is that we often look past these beautiful moments of space and time. We're so focused within our everyday routine that we miss completely what's happening around us. And through this process, we're slowly losing our sense of creativity. Now, to me, the city of Pretoria is like one giant invisible theater, where the urban environment provides both the settings and the props for these everyday activities to play out their roles. And with the growing relevance of the street interface, I believe that our urban environment is one that is practiced, which means that it's something that's spatially experienced rather than something understood two-dimensionally or on plan. So, with that in mind, I'd like to share with you a study myself and some colleagues did with regards to one of these quotidian, everyday activities that happen within our city, and that is how people sit within our city. We started off by mapping the spaces in which these occurred, and then broke it down into 5 varying categories. The first category we looked at was seating by adaptation. Here, we found how people sat within the city and adapted found objects within the city for their means of seating. Here we found how people had adapted a box or a crate or even a paint tin for their means of seating. And this category specifically totaled to 1/3 of how people sit within the city. The other third of how people sit within the city was through seating by acquisition. Now, in terms of this category, we found that people had brought in foreign objects into the city through the infamous plastic chair, which, got us thinking. And the third category, which to me was the most interesting, was through the adaptation of the urban surface. Here we found how people found creative solutions and imagined the whole city as one giant seat, and adapted the city to become their chair. Found anything from someone sitting on a water meter pipe, or a set of staircases, or even a bollard, and appropriated them for their needs. The fourth category we found was through seating by reuse. Now, within this category, we found that it often occurred outside office buildings within the city, where people had reused and reappropriated seats or office chairs for new purposes within the city. And lastly, we looked at seating by design, where this only accounted for 2% of how people sit within the city, through means of conventional seating, such as park benches and so on. So from the study, we found 3 major deductions. Firstly, it was not uncommon for people to bring in objects and materials into the city to suit their needs, which meant that people were starting to adapt and appropriate their spaces according to their requirements, and people were taking ownership of the city. Secondly, we found that most conventional forms of seating was used for recreational purposes, while the more unconventional seats were used for informal activities. And thirdly, we found that almost everybody sitting within the city did not use these conventional forms of seating. So, you might be sitting here wondering, why seating, and what does the way people sit have to do anything within the city, and how we see it? Well, by looking at the way people sit within the city, we can gain clues about our urban environment. We can see how the various spaces function and operate, and how people adapt accordingly. And interestingly enough, our city is only 2% successful in responding to its city dwellers on a very basic need that any city needs to respond to. So the more relevant question is to ask whether our city, or is the way we're doing things within our city, appropriate and relevant for the way we live within it, and whether the concept or the idea of a park bench as a whole is relevant within this context. So with that in mind, I'd like to call on all architects, urban designers, and even city dwellers to challenge the way we do things within our city. We need to rethink new solutions for our urban environments and reimagine these quotidian contexts so that we can see our city of Pretoria into a positive future. Thank you.